February 4th, 2022, a tiny island in the Black Sea. 13 Ukrainian soldiers, one of the most powerful warships in the Russian Navy. What happened in the next few minutes would be heard around the entire world. Until now, you only knew half the story. To understand what happened at Snake Island, you need to understand where it was. Snake Island, or Zmiinyi Island, is a tiny rock in the Black Sea. Just 0.2 square kilometers, barely visible on a map. But its location made it one of the most strategically important points in the entire Black Sea. Whoever controlled Snake Island controlled the western Black Sea. On February 24th, 2022, the day Russia launched its full invasion of Ukraine, 13 Ukrainian border guards were stationed on that island. 13 men. No tanks, no aircraft, no reinforcements coming. Just 13 soldiers and their rifles. At approximately 9 a.m., the Russian Black Sea Fleet appeared on the horizon. Leading the fleet was the Moskva. The Moskva was the flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. 40,000 tons of steel, guided missiles, naval guns, a crew of over 500 men, one warship, against 13 soldiers on a rock. The Moskva radioed Snake Island. The message was clear. This is a Russian warship. I suggest you lay down your weapons and surrender to avoid bloodshed and unnecessary casualties. Otherwise, you will be bombed. There was a pause. 13 men looked at each other. Nobody spoke. And then, one soldier picked up the radio. His reply became the most famous transmission of the entire war. Russian warship, go F yourself. The world went silent. Then the world went insane. Within hours, that transmission had been heard by millions. Ukraine's President Zelensky announced all 13 soldiers would receive the highest military honor. But here's what the news didn't tell you. The soldiers were initially reported dead, killed in the Russian attack. Ukraine mourned, the world mourned. But they weren't dead. They were captured, taken aboard Russian ships, prisoners of war. For weeks, nobody knew if they were alive. Their families waited. The world waited. And then, something happened to the Moskva. Something nobody expected. April 13th, 2022, 2 months after Snake Island. Ukraine fired 2 Neptune missiles into the Black Sea, directly at the Moskva, the flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. 40,000 tons of steel. The ship that had said, "Surrender or be bombed," was on fire and sinking. The most powerful warship in the Black Sea, destroyed. Gone. But the story still wasn't over. July 2022. A prisoner exchange. 13 names on a list. 13 soldiers coming home. The same 13 who had said, "Go for yourself." They had refused to surrender. They had survived capture. They had watched the ship that threatened them sink to the bottom of the Black Sea. And they came home. To a country that had printed their faces on stamps. To families that had feared the worst. To a world that would never forget their names. 13 men, 1 transmission, 1 warship. Sunk. 1 war changed. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon in a war is not a missile, not a tank, not an army. It is 13 men who refuse to be afraid. This file is now closed. File number 002. Case closed. But there are more files. Files that have been waiting even longer to be opened. File number 003 is already being prepared. Subscribe so you don't miss it.